Let's go Broncos! Recently, we got some exciting news from behind the scenes. It looks like the Denver Broncos are taking serious steps to address their inside linebacker issue. After a season where that position was a weak point in the defense, it's clear that something needs to change. The Broncos are weighing their options, and we've just gotten a major clue about what could happen next. I'll share all the details shortly, but first, make sure to hit that like button if you think it's time for Javonte Williams to go. And while you're at it, let us know in the comments, who do you think would be the perfect linebacker to help the Broncos have a stronger defense next season? We've gotten a glimpse of the team's potential roster cuts, and no surprise here, Javonte Williams is on that list. But the real story here is the inside linebacker position. Both head coach Sean Payton and defensive coordinator Vance Joseph have said this is a major concern. The team started the season a bit short on linebackers, and when Alex Singleton suffered a torn ACL, Cody Barton had to step in. While Barton has done better than expected, it's clear the Broncos need more depth at linebacker. That's where free agency and the NFL draft could play a big role. There's been a lot of buzz about the Broncos possibly going after Zack Baun, thanks to his connection with Sean Payton. But realistically, after a standout season, Baun is likely going to get a big payday. Alex Singleton is currently locked into a 3-year, $18 million deal, but Baun is expected to demand around $55 million over 4 years. That's a hefty price tag that might be out of Denver's budget. So, what's the alternative? ESPN insiders suggest the Broncos could make a move for Nick Bolton, the linebacker from the Kansas City Chiefs. This would be a game changer for Denver. Not only would they get stronger at linebacker, but they'd also weaken their biggest division rival. Bolton would come at a much more affordable price than Baun, and his physical style of play is exactly what the Broncos need to beef up their defense. And then there's the situation in Kansas City. Coming off a tough Super Bowl loss, the Chiefs are going to have their hands full trying to bounce back. History shows that losing a Super Bowl can really take a toll on a team. Just ask Deebo Samuel, who mentioned how the 49ers struggled mentally after their Super Bowl loss. Players can go into a deep funk, and before they know it, the next season is already starting. Even Patrick Mahomes has been seen getting a haircut recently, and while it might seem like nothing, some think that loss affected him more than people realize. If the Broncos can grab a key defensive player from the Chiefs while they're trying to recover, that would be a huge win. Sean Payton's philosophy is clear. Every offseason, it's like flipping the team-building puzzle upside down and starting fresh. This means evaluating every part of the roster, from free agents and draft picks to trades. When it comes to inside linebacker, Payton understands that you don't usually spend high draft picks on that position. Historically, the most successful inside linebackers tend to come from free agency or trades rather than the first round of the draft. So instead of using their early draft picks on linebackers, the Broncos could look to add explosive playmakers like a running back or tight end. The impact of first-year players like Jahmyr Gibbs at running back and Brock Bowers at tight end has been undeniable. These guys can step in and make an impact right away, while defensive players, especially inside linebackers, often need more time to adjust to the NFL. Speaking of running backs, there's another big name linked to the Broncos, Aaron Jones. His departure from Green Bay shocked many, especially after his impressive performance against Dallas, where he was gaining 5 yards per carry. Even with inconsistent quarterback play, he helped keep the Vikings offense moving. If the Broncos decide to part ways with Javonte Williams, Jones could be a huge addition to their backfield. Another name in the mix is Najee Harris. If Sean Payton is looking for a powerful downhill runner, Harris might be just what the Broncos need. But one thing is for sure, Payton has moved on from Latavius Murray, and it seems like he's ready for a fresh start at running back. On the draft side, there's a lot of buzz about quarterbacks climbing up the draft boards, which is actually great news for the Broncos. The Broncos are sitting at pick number 20 in the upcoming draft, and if a few quarterbacks like Jackson Dart, Cameron Ward, and Sheeter Sanders go early, that could actually work out in Denver's favor. The more teams that reach for quarterbacks, the better the chance that top talent at other positions will fall to the Broncos. And let's not forget how strong Denver's recent drafts have been. Their first-round pick last year, Bo Nix, faced plenty of criticism at first, but now even national analysts are acknowledging it was an excellent choice. When you compare Nix's performance to the history of the Chicago Bears, for instance, he would have delivered one of the best quarterback seasons in the team's history. That's the kind of impact we're talking about here. On the financial side, things are looking good for Denver. The salary cap continues to rise, which is a big help for the Broncos. Despite the huge dead cap hit from Russell Wilson's contract, the team is in a much better financial position than many expected. One of the biggest factors in this is the explosion of streaming deals. Platforms like YouTube TV are bringing in huge revenue, and now even Netflix is bidding for exclusive NFL rights. This means even more money flowing into the league and a higher salary cap, giving Denver more flexibility to make moves in free agency. So, where does that leave the Broncos? Right now, their odds of winning the Super Bowl are 40-1, a huge improvement compared to last year, when they were sitting at 150-1 with Russell Wilson. The future is looking a lot brighter for Denver. That's a huge leap, and it really shows the growing confidence in the direction the Broncos are heading. The big question now is, how should Denver address the inside linebacker position? Should they go all in on Nick Bolton or take a chance on Zack Baun despite the high cost? And what about running back? Do you want to see Aaron Jones or Najee Harris in orange and blue next season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. One of the biggest challenges for the Broncos this offseason is finding the balance between filling their most pressing needs and not overpaying for talent. Inside linebacker and running back are clear priorities, but there's also the question of where the team stands at quarterback, and that's where things start to get really interesting. With the Broncos picking at number 20 in the draft, many fans have been wondering, could they still draft a quarterback? The short answer is probably not, and that's actually a good thing. Right now, experts are predicting that at least 3, possibly 4 quarterbacks could be taken in the first round. Jackson Dart, Cameron Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and maybe even a surprise pick like Quinn Ewers or Michael Penix Jr. If that happens, it means Denver will have a chance to land an elite talent at another position when their pick comes up at number 20. This is the dream scenario when you're not in the market for a quarterback. Every time a team ahead of the Broncos reaches for a quarterback, it pushes top-tier talent at other positions, like pass rushers, offensive linemen, or skill players down the board. And keep in mind, Denver doesn't need a cornerback because they already have one of the best young secondaries in the NFL. The Broncos don't need to worry about offensive tackles because they're solid in that area. So every time a team ahead of them drafts one of those positions, it only makes their pick at number 20 even more valuable. Let's be real though, drafting a quarterback isn't going to fix things overnight. Even some of the top quarterback prospects take years to develop, and right now Denver needs impact players who can contribute immediately. That's why targeting someone like Nick Bolton in free agency or adding an explosive playmaker through the draft might be the smarter choice. On the financial side, the Broncos' situation is looking better than expected. The salary cap is going up and Denver is in a much better spot compared to last year. A big reason for this boost? Streaming revenue. YouTube TV has already been bringing in big money for the NFL, and now Netflix is getting in on the action, bidding for exclusive rights to air games. This is a massive deal. More money flowing into the league means the salary cap keeps rising, giving the Broncos more flexibility to go after impactful players. Now let's talk about something that's bound to fire up Broncos country, the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking vulnerable. Sure, they just made it to the Super Bowl, but history shows that teams coming off a Super Bowl loss often struggle the following season. Deebo Samuel has spoken about how tough it was mentally for the 49ers after their Super Bowl loss, and the buzz around Kansas City suggests they could take a step back as well. Now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think? Should the Broncos go all in on Nick Bolton, or would you rather see them make a move for Zack Baun, even if it means spending big? And when it comes to running back, do you want to see Aaron Jones in orange and blue next season, or do you think Najee Harris would be a better fit? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on the Broncos. We've got a huge offseason ahead, and this team is making some serious moves. Broncos country, get ready. We're just getting started.